This is a simple trip. This is not an Arctic expedition. This is an Arctic brain break. It will have a tendency and it will back itself out. In order for this to work, you kind of have to marry the two up.
For years, Life Below Zero gave viewers an unfiltered look at Alaska's unforgiving wilderness. The cast members hunted, fished, and built shelters with their own hands, facing cold and danger that most people could never imagine. Fans admired their grit and connected with their struggles, making their survival feel personal. But living off the land brings both triumph and hardship. Since the cameras stopped rolling, fans have been curious about how the cast is doing now. So, join us as we tell you where the cast members of Life Below Zero are in 2025.
So I start my calendar year the day the river breaks up. And looking at the river, breakup is gonna happen real quick here. So I got all my food, dry good food type supplies here. And next step I gotta do is I gotta get going on getting some boats together, create an ark for me and the dogs in case we flood.
Sue Aikens became the face of Life Below Zero with her fierce independence and determination to survive alone at Kavik River Camp. Her daily life meant hauling supplies, fending off wildlife, and braving temperatures that could drop to 60 below. One of her toughest moments came when a bear attacked her near the camp, leaving her with broken bones and deep wounds. With no one around to help, Sue dragged herself back to safety and waited for rescue, proving her strength to survive against impossible odds. Later, she faced another near-death experience when her snow machine flipped, pinning her down for hours in freezing cold. She later underwent multiple surgeries to address her health concerns. These tragic incidents forced her to slow down at times, but they never broke her spirit. As of 2025, Sue still runs Kavik River Camp. She has spoken about plans to add more cabins for guests while continuing to live the same rugged lifestyle that made her a legend on the show. Chip Hailstone is another seasoned Alaskan who lives far from the modern world. He and his wife Agnes live along the Kobuk River, about 20 miles north of the Arctic Circle, where winters are harsh and help is far away. On the show, he hunts, traps, and teaches his children how to survive on what the land provides. And just like Sue, Chip has also had his share of struggles outside of the show. Years back, he served a sentence at the Anchorage Correctional Complex after being convicted on charges tied to an altercation in Norvik. The time away put strain on his family, forcing Agnes and their children to shoulder even more of the work. As of 2025, Chip is still doing what he has always done, living off the land with his family. His days are spent repairing sleds, maintaining their cabin, and teaching his kids the same survival skills he once learned. On the other hand, Agnes Hailstone has long been the backbone of her family, known for her skill and calm presence. One of her defining moments came during a caribou hunt when she was caught in a sudden storm. With Chip away, the responsibility of securing the meat fell on her shoulders. Working quickly in freezing winds, she butchered and stored the animal before the snow buried it, protecting a vital food source for her family. As of 2025, Agnes's lifestyle has not changed. She continues to live by the land, guiding her family through hunts and the constant demands of survival. While the Hailstones and Sue remained on the show till it was canceled, other cast members like Glenn, Kate, and a few others left right before it was canceled. Speaking of the other cast members, Glenn Villeneuve stood out on Life Below Zero as the man who chose complete isolation. He lived alone in Chandalar, surrounded by wilderness and silence, relying on his rifle and his knowledge of the land. Viewers watched him hunt moose and survive in temperatures that froze rivers solid. But Glenn's time on the show was not without struggle. He often spoke of how isolation tested his body and mind. At times, weeks passed without him seeing another human. A single mistake, such as an accident with an axe or a fall through thin ice, could have ended his life with no one there to help. That constant edge between survival and disaster defined his story. In 2019, Glenn left the series, explaining that his time on the show had come to an end. As of 2025, Glenn has built a quieter life outside of television. He remains active outdoors, often sharing updates of hikes and family moments on social media. He has also spoken about running and staying fit, proof that his life of endurance didn't stop when the cameras left. Andy Bassich became known on Life Below Zero for his life at Calico Bluff on the Yukon River, where he lived with dozens of sled dogs and depended on the land. His routine was always hard, but in 2021, he faced one of his greatest struggles. Andy suffered a severe hip injury that caused dangerous infections in the muscle and bone. He had to leave Alaska for medical care in Florida, and the recovery was long and painful. The injury forced Andy to step back from the life he had built. He relied on others during his treatment, something that was very different from his normal independence. The return to Calico Bluff was not easy. He had to recover, repair his cabin, and slowly return to the daily work of living in the wilderness. As of 2025, Andy remains at Calico Bluff with his new partner, Denise Becker. He continues to care for his sled dogs, hunt, and work the land. Denise Becker featured on Life Below Zero as Andy Bassich's new partner at Calico Bluff. She grew up on a farm in northern Saskatchewan and moved into the Yukon River life after meeting Andy. Denise learned quickly how to handle dogs, boats, and the steady work needed to live on the river. When Andy suffered a serious hip injury that left him unable to work, Denise stayed by his side through the long recovery. When they finally returned home, it was clear how much their life in the wilderness depended on teamwork and trust. Not long after, fans noticed Denise's absence from new episodes of Life Below Zero. Rumors began to spread online, with some claiming she had fallen seriously ill, while others went as far as saying she had passed away. The confusion grew when an obituary surfaced for another woman with the same name. Those reports were later proven false. Denise is alive and doing well. As of 2025, she continues to live with Andy in Alaska, focusing on life off-camera and maintaining their home along the Yukon River. Kate Rourke was introduced on Life Below Zero as Andy Bassich's partner at Calico Bluff. Together, they raised sled dogs and relied on the river, showing the daily grind of wilderness living. However, Kate's story soon took a darker turn. Behind the rugged survival scenes, she endured years of what she later described as abuse. In 2016, she made the decision to leave Andy, ending both her marriage and her time on the show. Walking away was no easy choice. Kate spoke later about the fear, the emotional toll, and the lasting scars she carried. She also spoke about health struggles, including thyroid cancer and a hereditary blood condition. As of 2025, Kate has rebuilt her world in Newfoundland, Canada. She spends time with her family, enjoys travel, and surrounds herself with the support she once lacked in Alaska. Ricko De Wilde brought something different to Life Below Zero, a deep connection to his Athabascan heritage. He grew up in a remote cabin without modern conveniences, learning to hunt and prepare dry meat the traditional way. On the show, viewers saw him pass those skills down to his children, teaching them how to live close to the land and respect what it provides. One of his most memorable moments came when he hunted a moose with his children watching. The lesson was not just about hunting, but about survival and responsibility. He explained every step, from the shot to the butchering, showing them that the land provides if you treat it with care. As of 2025, Ricko continues living the same way of life. He shares glimpses of making moose dry meat, fishing, and family hunts on social media. Ricko remains true to his roots, carrying on traditions and proving that survival in Alaska is as much about heritage as it is about endurance. Jesse Holmes made his mark on Life Below Zero as a dog musher and builder who thrived in Alaska's wilderness. He spent long winters caring for his sled dogs and living with little more than his grit. But his toughest test came in 2022, far from the cameras, when he was badly injured during a storm cleanup. While moving debris, a collapsing structure crushed him. Jesse suffered broken ribs, a fractured wrist, and internal injuries. It was so bad that he had to be airlifted, fighting through pain that could have ended his way of life. As of 2025, Jesse has not only healed but achieved one of his greatest dreams, winning the Iditarod on his 8th attempt. He and his dogs pushed through more than 1,100 miles of punishing trail to claim victory. Today, Jesse lives in Nenana, Alaska, working as a carpenter, training his dogs, and continuing to live close to the land. Eric Salitan joined Life Below Zero as a young, skilled hunter and trapper who lived off the land in Alaska. He and his wife, Martha May, showed how to survive without many modern comforts. On the show, every decision he made was about survival, from maintaining his traps to keeping his cabin warm when temperatures dropped below zero. While Eric thrived in isolation, he eventually decided to step away from television. He and his partner wanted more privacy and time to raise their family away from the cameras. The couple shifted their focus to guiding and teaching others about Alaska's rugged land, using their knowledge to help visitors experience what the wilderness felt truly like. As of 2025, Eric still lives in Wiseman, Alaska, far off the beaten path. He now runs a guiding and outfitting business, helping others experience hunting and wilderness living under tough conditions. Martha May joined forces with her husband, Eric Salitan, showing viewers the discipline and patience needed to survive in Alaska's wilderness. Together, they built a life in Wiseman, north of the Arctic Circle, where every season demanded preparation. While Eric focused on hunting and trapping, Martha managed their home, preserved food, and made sure supplies lasted through the long, cold winters. Her strength came through in the small, unseen moments. She handled the daily routines that kept their family comfortable when the temperature dropped far below freezing. Whether it was mending clothes or smoking meat, her steady work formed the foundation of their life off the grid. Life in Wiseman was harsh and lonely, but she faced it with calm determination, proving that survival depends as much on heart as on skill. As of 2025, Martha May still lives in Alaska, where she helps run her family guiding and outfitting business. The Salitan's time on the show remains one of the truest portrayals of partnership and endurance in Alaska's wilderness. Johnny Rolfe joined Life Below Zero as one of the newer faces, representing a younger generation of Alaskans living in isolation. Living in the remote wilderness near Wrangell St. Elias National Park, Johnny depends completely on his own skills. His days revolve around chopping wood, fishing, hunting, and keeping his cabin warm during brutal winters. He often describes how silence and solitude can be both peaceful and demanding, because every mistake out there has consequences. Viewers were drawn to Johnny for his calm attitude and focus on survival. He builds and repairs everything by hand, from sleds to storage shelters, using limited tools and supplies. Unlike many who move to Alaska seeking adventure later in life, Johnny has lived close to nature from a young age. His interest in the wild started early, and he chose to build his life around it instead of chasing city comforts. As of 2025, Johnny still lives in the same remote part of Alaska, sharing moments from his daily life online. Through hunting and maintaining his cabin, he continues to show what true self-reliance looks like. Chevy Roach made his mark on the spin-off series of Life Below Zero with his wife, Santa, and their children. On the show, they live in Norvik, Alaska, where every day is about survival and family. Chevy grew up learning how to hunt and trap in the freezing Arctic cold. He spends most of his days keeping his snow machine in good condition, cutting firewood, and making sure his family has enough food to last through the long winter. Like many others, Chevy has faced his fair share of challenges, but his toughest one came during a long winter when his traps froze solid and game was hard to find. With supplies running low, he set out across the ice alone, determined to bring food home. After hours in the harsh wind and biting cold, he returned with a catch that kept his family fed through the storm. As of 2025, Chevy still lives in Norvik with his family, balancing tradition and modern life. Santa Roach appeared alongside her husband Chevy on the Life Below Zero spin-off series. On the show, her days are filled with the tasks that keep her family safe and warm through long winters. She teaches her children the skills needed to live off the land, from preserving food to handling tools, while maintaining the traditions that connect them to their home. During one of the coldest winters, temperatures dropped far below freezing, cutting off access to supplies. With daylight fading and strong winds outside, Santa worked around the clock to melt snow for water, cook meals, and keep the fire burning. Her calm focus and steady hand helped her family push through the storm until the weather broke. As of 2025, Santa continues to live in Norvik with her family. She remains dedicated to her way of life, balancing the demands of the wilderness with raising her children. Away from the Roachs, Gage Hoffman is another cast member from the spin-off series of Life Below Zero. He appears alongside his family, showing what it means to grow up in Alaska's wilderness. Raised to live off the land, Gage helps with hunting and trapping to provide for the family. He also takes part in repairing tools, maintaining sleds, and gathering firewood before the harsh winters arrive. One of his most challenging moments on the show came during a harsh snowstorm when he joined in clearing paths and checking the traps after several days of heavy snowfall. The weather made travel difficult and visibility was low, but Gage stayed determined and followed the lessons his parents taught him. It was one of the times that tested his endurance and proved how much he had learned about life in the wild. As of 2025, Gage continues to live with his family in Alaska. He remains an active part of the daily work that keeps their household running and still learns new skills each season as he grows into life in the Arctic. Just like his brother, Avery Hoffman appeared on the spin-off series before moving to the main show with his family. In the series, he stands out as part of the younger generation learning to survive in Alaska's remote wilderness. Unlike most kids his age, Avery's life revolves around real survival. He spends his days tracking animals and hauling wood to keep his family prepared for winter. During one brutal winter stretch, heavy snowfall made travel impossible for several days. Avery helped his family manage the food supply and protect their small camp. His focus and sense of responsibility show the maturity that life in Alaska demands. As of 2025, Avery continues to live in Alaska with his family, carrying on the same daily routines and survival practices that defined their life on the show. Cole Sturgis joined Life Below Zero in 2023 as one of the newest cast members. Living on a floating home in Thorn Bay, every day brings a new challenge, whether it's cutting logs for fuel or catching fish. In the wild, supplies are hard to reach, so Cole relies on his own strength and skill to keep things running. When he's not out on the water or working in the woods, Cole runs his small logging business, Timber Wolf Cutting. He also shares parts of his life online, posting videos that show the quiet routines and hard work that come with living off the grid. As of 2025, Cole continues to live on Prince of Wales Island, Alaska. He maintains their floating home through the seasons and shares his daily life on his YouTube channel, where he shows what it takes to live far from modern comforts. Cody Allen first appeared on Life Below Zero as a young man eager to master life in Alaska's wilderness. Under the guidance of Andy Bassich and Kate Rourke, he learned subsistence skills, cared for sled dogs, and adapted to the demands of living off the land. Viewers saw his determination and quick learning as he tackled daily challenges, from chopping wood to maintaining gear and navigating the harsh weather. After the camera stopped rolling, Cody continued living in Alaska, keeping a low profile while staying true to the lifestyle he once shared on screen. He still spends much of his time outdoors, fishing, and exploring the land. As of 2025, Cody remains active in his community and continues to embrace the rugged, self-reliant life that first defined him.